Memulai acara saya ingin memberikan informasi bahwa fasilitas interpretasi simultan dalam bahasa Indonesia tersedia sepanjang Masterclass ini. Acara ini merupakan bagian dari rangkaian program Festival Cinema Australia Indonesia tahun 2022 yang diselenggarakan dari tanggal 19 ke 27 Februari. Kami ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Bapak Sandiaga Uno, Menteri Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Indonesia, Bapak Prof. Wayan Kun Adiana, Rektor ISI Denpasar, Bapak Putu Lengkong, Kepala Bekraf Denpasar, Bapak Madai Artana, Ketua Yayasan STMIK Filmmaker, perwakilan dari bagian kerjasama Stikom Bali, Universitas Nusa Cendana, NTT, Universitas Udayana Bali, dan Universitas Mataram NTB, yang telah sangat membantu penyelenggarakan Masterclass pada hari ini. Baiklah, pertama-tama saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Kementerian Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif, Badan Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Republik Indonesia atas dukungan yang luar biasa FSAI tahun 2022. Saya juga ingin mengucapkan selamat datang kepada pembicara dalam film Masterclass hari ini, yaitu Lachevre, pendiri dari Fanforce Group, dan Marisa Anita sebagai sahabat FSAI 2022 yang akan menjadi moderator pada acara ini, serta Ibu Anthea Griffin, Konsul Jenderal di Australian Consulate di Bali. Sebelum kita memulai acara ini, mari kita saksikan sama-sama video singkat FSAI 2022. Terima kasih.
The Earth awakened.
How does that make you feel? The truth.
Need your help.
Okay, let's have a look.
I want this.
Well, life's a gift.
I want this.
Wah, seperti yang Anda saksikan, FSAI merupakan sebuah kesempatan besar bagi masyarakat Indonesia untuk menyaksikan film-film terbaik Australia dan Indonesia. FSAI adalah platform untuk membangun koneksi dan kolaborasi antara industri film Australia dan Indonesia. Ini adalah tahun ke-7 dari FSAI tahun 2022, di mana untuk kedua kalinya sejak tahun-tahun lalu festival ini diadakan secara virtual untuk memberikan kesempatan kepada para penonton film di seluruh Nusantara untuk dapat mengakses film-film terbaik Indonesia dan Australia secara gratis. FSAI 2022 menghadirkan 5 film Australia dan 2 film Indonesia dengan beragam genre film, mulai dari animasi, dokumenter, komedi, hingga drama dan misteri. Semua film FSAI 2022 tersebut dapat langsung diakses dan ditonton oleh teman-teman yang hadir hari ini secara gratis melalui website FSAI, yaitu fsai2022.com. Silakan daftar online dan pilih yang ingin ditonton. Untuk memulai acara ini, langsung saja kita lihat bersama video kata sambutan dari Bapak Sandiaga Uno, Menteri Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif, Kepala Badan Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Republik Indonesia. Demikian
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Salam sehat. Greetings for all of us. Creative economy, with all of its uniqueness, is proven able to survive and grow positively. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the exports value of Indonesia's creative economy is showing growth from 2021 with $20.58 billion to $21.28 billion. Indonesia's creative economy contribution is ranked third in the world in percentage of creative economic contributions to GDP. This position is right after the United States with Hollywood and South Korea with its K-pop. Film is one of the subsectors of creative economy that affected, and this pandemic has changed the film industry. Even though now the cinema building has been reopened for public with strict health protocol, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy has some priority programs to increase the development of the film subsector, such as Family Sunday Movie, Film Accelerations, and Incubations Program. The best quality film we produce is going to be included in various festivals, both national and international, in hopes that filmmakers could work from the roots of the culture, and the local wisdom of the nation can be a potential power that elevates Indonesia's dignity. Festival Cinema Australia Indonesia presents the best film from Australia and Indonesia. It will highlight the closeness of Australia and Indonesia through the world of cinema. We hope this festival could strengthen relations between the two countries and encourage filmmakers to create better quality of films in the future. Thank you very much. Good night. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi, Santi, Santi Om.
Terima kasih banyak Bapak Menteri. Langsung saya saja ingin undang Ibu Anthea Griffin, Konsul Jenderal Australian Consulate di Bali, untuk memberikan kata sambutannya. Silakan Ibu Anthea.
Terima kasih Ibu Eli. Selamat pagi, Om Swastiastu. Saya Anthea Griffin, Konsul Jenderal Australia di Bali. Pertama-tama, terima kasih kepada Menteri Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Indonesia, Bapak Sandiaga Uno, atas sambutan, pembukaan, dan dukungannya bagi festival tahun ini. Terima kasih juga kepada Bapak Profesor Kun, Rektor Institut Seni Indonesia Denpasar, atas sambutannya. Kami bangga dapat bermitra dengan Kementerian Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif Indonesia, ISI Denpasar, Bekraf Denpasar, Filmmaker, komunitas film di Kupang, dan di Lombok dalam festival film tahun ini. Selamat datang di sesi pertama Masterclass Film Festival Cinema Australia Indonesia 2022, dan terima kasih telah bergabung dengan kami hari ini untuk belajar lebih jauh mengenai distribusi film. Australia adalah rumah bagi beberapa bakat terbaik dunia di industri film dan televisi, baik talenta yang ada di depan layar maupun di belakang layar. Jajaran film FSAI tahun ini serta para pakar yang bergabung sebagai pembicara dalam sesi Masterclass merupakan demonstrasi keunggulan Australia. Hari ini kita akan mendengar dari pakar industri film Australia, Lachevre, yang telah membantu mengembangkan dan meluncurkan proyek ke Marvel Studios, Netflix, dan Universal Pictures, termasuk Black Widow dari Kate Shortland. Danny akan berbagi dengan kita seputar pengetahuan terkini di industri promosi film dan akan memberikan panduan tentang dunia film festival sehingga dapat membantu Anda untuk hal-hal yang perlu Anda perhatikan di proyek film Anda berikutnya. Terima kasih Danny untuk bergabung dengan kami hari ini, dan terima kasih kepada Fanforce atas dukungannya untuk FSAI 2022. Sahabat FSAI kami, sahabat FSAI kami di tahun 2022, Marissa Anita juga akan bergabung dengan kami hari ini sebagai moderator selama Masterclass ini berlangsung. Pandemi global telah menunjukkan kepada kita semua pentingnya komunitas dan pentingnya untuk tetap saling terhubung. Seperti yang juga diharapkan oleh Bapak Menteri Sandiaga Uno dalam sambutannya, melalui FSAI dan kelas film Masterclass ini, kami berharap dapat membantu membangun hubungan yang lebih kuat antara komunitas film Australia dan Indonesia dan mendukung calon pembuat film untuk mengembangkan karya mereka. Saya harap Anda akan menikmati sesi hari ini dan dapat mengambil beberapa kiat baru untuk mengajukan dan mempromosikan proyek kreatif Anda berikutnya. Terima kasih. Om Santi 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 Om.
Terima kasih banyak Ibu Ansaya. Selanjutnya saya mengundang Bapak Profesor Wayan Kun Adnyana, Rektor Institut Seni Indonesia Denpasar, untuk menyampaikan sambutannya. Silakan Bapak Profesor.
Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Shalom, Namo Buddhaya. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Australian Embassy in Indonesia, Your Excellency, the international speakers and instructor of FSAI, Festival Cinema Australia Indonesia 2022. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us praise to the presence of God, Asungkarta Waranugraha, Yang Widiwasa, who is blessing us with health, creative opportunities, and happiness. Furthermore, I would like to extend my biggest gratitude to the Committee of FSAI 2022 for the second opportunity given to Indonesian Institute of the Arts Denpasar, or ISI Denpasar, as an event partner of FSAI 2022 and explore more knowledge, especially on the cinema development on producing excellent film, animation, and distributing films. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we would like to share that the Indonesian Institute of the Arts Denpasar has new motto, Global Bali Arts and Creativity Center Hub, or GBE. To actualize this motto, we open the wide possible collaboration with various parties, one of which is the Australian Embassy in Indonesia, in organizing of FSAI 2022 during our community participation in the event. We, students and lecturers, gain a lot of knowledge and skill of documentary film making and drone cinematography. Therefore, FSAI 2022 Masterclass, film distributing, creating animation content, film production will become a great chance to all of the participants to enhance skill and techniques in producing excellent film, animation, and distributing film, especially during a pandemic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I sincerely hope that such event be repeated regularly because it is such a bridge to create firm mutual understanding among Indonesian Institute of the Arts Denpasar and Australian Embassy in Indonesia. I would also to conclude my remark by sending my warm regard to all speaker and instructor for your valuable thoughts and knowledge that I really believe those might bring new perspective for all of participants. In the end, I wish all success for the FSAI 2022, and I am looking forward to another opportunity for having the collaboration again. Thank you very much. Om Santi 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 Om. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rahayu.
Thank you very much, Prof. Gun. Terima kasih banyak. The speech in English is very well received. Teman-teman, sesi tanya jawab akan tersedia setelah presentasi dari pembicara. Jika rekan-rekan mau bertanya via chat Zoom, juga dipersilakan. Dalam bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris, silakan. Sesaat lagi kita akan bersama-sama mengikuti Masterclass bersama pembicara kita. Saya ingin mengundang moderator untuk diskusi pada hari ini. Dia adalah sahabat FSAI 2022, seorang aktris yang telah mendapatkan pujian, nominasi, dan penghargaan di berbagai film festival, baik lokal maupun internasional, sekaligus berkontribusi terhadap dunia jurnalisme. Dia adalah kebanggaan Indonesia dan alumni Australia. Marissa Anita. Halo Mbak Marissa, apa kabar?
Halo Eli, apa kabar? Saya baik, terima kasih.
Bagus
Ini langsung
sekali.
saja Eli? Atau gimana? Ini langsung saja saya moderasi?
Saya juga mau welcome Danny Lachevre for joining us and for sharing your knowledge this morning. We appreciate both Marissa and Danny joining us today. I guess I'll just firstly say thank you very much for everyone, and please take it away.
Thank you so much. Terima kasih banyak Eli, juga tadi Ibu Andrea dan juga perwakilan Kedutaan Australia di Indonesia. Halo semua teman-teman, selamat pagi dan selamat datang di Masterclass hari ini yang akan fokus di distribusi film. Jadi pembicara kita di hari ini adalah Danny Lachevre. Danny adalah pendiri Fanforce Group. Dia sangat berpengalaman banget di bidang distribusi film, bioskop, di streaming, bikin acara film virtual, kemudian pemasaran dan pitching film, dan juga produksi film. Nanti kan teman-teman ini banyak pertanyaan nih, 3 penanya yang beruntung akan mendapatkan hadiah merchandise dan juga snack spesial dari FSAI. Langsung saja kita sapa Danny Lachevre. Hi Danny, welcome and thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your knowledge with us this morning. We really appreciate your time.
Hey Marissa, thanks so much for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here and speak to everyone, to be honest. So this is a great festival that the team run every year. So yeah, really great to be here and to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you again after like 8 or 9 months, perhaps. So, Danny, thank you so much for being with us to discuss about film distribution, because to give context, in Indonesia, we actually don't have film distributors who distribute Indonesian or local films here in the country. So please, could you explain to us what is film distribution and what does a film distributor do when a film has been made? So if you can take us through the steps, that would be great. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, no problem. Well, look, first of all, that's a very strange thing that there is a territory as huge as Indonesia is to not have a distribution company that sort of works with Indonesian films. Like from everything that I know about Indonesian films, they seem to be growing in popularity every year. They're just punching way above their weight internationally and getting really great results at festivals. And, you know, and a lot of the people that are in some of these films are getting, seen all around the world. So very strange. But look, to answer your question, a film distributor is kind of a company that basically helps to introduce your film as a filmmaker to an audience. So I guess we're the company that have the connections with streaming platforms, with cinemas, with broadcasters, and with smaller sort of avenues as well, like say education, airlines, all of those sort of other avenues that people will basically see your film. As a distributor, we're the people that basically work closely with the filmmaker and get the film onto all of those platforms, or some of those platforms. So there's lots of different types of distributors that work, right across the board with all those different types of avenues. And there's more and more of those different avenues growing every year, that there's a new sort of way of getting films in front of audiences in a new capacity, whether that's shorter form or longer form. And basically the film distributors are the ones that sort of look at the marketing as well. So we might take a film that we think is going to be very attractive to an audience, and we will work closely with the filmmaker and say, well, look, we really love your film for these reasons, and we think that we could do a really good job of introducing it to this audience and growing it in these particular platforms to really get the eyes on it, and hopefully try to make some money for everyone along the way as well, which is the business part of the film business,
Yeah, tell us about that, the business part of that as well, because right now, what I know from my fellow filmmakers, I know a producer who told me about this, like, because we don't have a film distributor for the local films, it means that I, as the producer, have to do it myself. So how does that work then? The profit sharing, if you become a film distributor, do you buy the film from the filmmakers fully, and then you have full ownership, and then you are the one who's trying to distribute it in all these different channels, like whether it's theater or streaming services or TV? How does that work? Well, and what is the percentage that is usually, the regular percentage that you get as a film distributor?
Well, all of those things can vary substantially, and it depends on the type of distributor you're working with, depends on how much risk they're engaging with your particular film. If there's a bidding war for your film as well, which is the thing that all filmmakers sort of dream of, that maybe you might release the first screening of the film might be at somewhere like Sundance or another film festival, and that everyone loves it, and that suddenly there's a bidding war for your film, like every filmmaker kind of dreams of that scenario. That doesn't always happen, unfortunately. So there's all types of different deals that happen as a result of that. So if you're working with a film distributor that does all rights, they might do it in one particular territory. So say in Australia, like Fanforce is a global film distributor, so the particular way that we distribute, which might talk about a little bit later, is a little bit different to other distributors. But most distributors that exist in a particular territory will like to deal with your film in that territory only. So if you get a North American distributor, they might say, look, we will take all the rights for North America, which will be all streaming rights. We'll try to get it onto Netflix in North America, or if that doesn't happen, we will stream it on other platforms like Amazon or iTunes or any of the others. We might do a theatrical release. If it's a documentary, it might have a big education component. There's all different types of deals that, or different types of platforms that distributor will work with. And the percentage on each one of them will be different. So when we work with filmmakers, if we are doing everything globally, each one of those different deals will have a different percentage. But look, generally speaking, I would say if you're looking, if a filmmaker is trying to get, say, a streaming deal with a distributor, it could vary anywhere from, say, 20% all the way up to about, say, 50, 60%. But it all depends on what the nature of that deal is. and how they've come aboard the project as well. So if you make your film, I'm not sure the film that you're referring to, Marissa, have you made it already or?
Oh, no. For example, no, I'm here. I'm only an actor, but for example, there is an Indonesian female film director who recently got her film screened in the Berlin Film Festival as part of the main competition. And I saw in the beginning of her film that it has been that they're collaborating with the Wild Bunch. Wild Bunch is a distributor, right?
Well, look, there's a lot of, they are sort of a distributor and sales agent as well. So there's a lot of those organisations that are hybrids and they do different things. So sometimes sales agents and film distributors will be the one company and they'll do both things. So they'll take the rights to your film globally, and then they might distribute it themselves as well in the territory. So if they're based in the UK, they might release it in the UK, or they might have an affiliation with a distributor there, and they might have a partnership. But then they'll sell it to other territories around the world because they won't have those connections with cinemas, say, in North America or in smaller territories. But yeah, that film that you're referring to, if that was invited to screen at Berlin and it did very well and the audience loved it,
amazingly, actually, before it was screened in Berlin, in the trailer itself, before it was screened in Berlin, Wild Bunch was already part of it. So I guess probably that process was done before the film was being approved as one of the films competing in Berlin. So
yes, yeah. So that can happen at all different stages. So if they came aboard, I mean, the thing that is most advantageous, well, the thing that benefits most filmmakers is to get some sort of interest early, even before you've made the film.
Right.
So when a distributor or a sales agent like the Wild Bunch comes aboard before, like very early, to get what they call is a minimum guarantee. That's an agreement with the distributor where they really love your idea. Maybe they've read the script, maybe they've seen a sizzle reel, and they really want this project. And they will sometimes offer what's called a minimum guarantee or an MG, or sometimes a DG. It's called a distribution guarantee as well. And they'll offer you a lump sum at the beginning.
Okay.
So if they do that, that's a really great thing for a filmmaker because it enables you to start that process. You can actually start to make that film because you've got interest, market interest up front. And so if you're trying to attract investors and build the rest of your finance budget around how much you need to make that film, you can say, well, look, I've got someone like the Wild Bunch on board. They've already committed this much to it, and they've guaranteed that we're going to get this kind of release. And so investors will look at that and go, oh my God, I know the Wild Bunch, they're fantastic. I'm on board and we're going to invest this much. And that's how those deals start.
Right.
But those MGs and those DGs are getting harder and harder to find. Not many people want to take that risk. Yeah. So it's usually the filmmakers that are very well established, for example, that will get those deals. Most distributors and agents will want to see what the final film turns out like before they'll commit anything to it. So that's why maybe the Wild Bunch saw a rough cut of the film before it got to Berlin, and they might have offered it at that stage.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. Because this particular filmmaker, she's a female filmmaker named Camila Andini. Her previous film did very well in the Toronto International Film Festival, actually won the platform prize the year before. So I guess that's why she could get that really good deal, because she is one of the prominent female directors or directors in Indonesia at the moment. Let me make clear two things with you, Danny. So you mentioned about a distributor getting full rights. It means that the distributor buys it completely, so that you have no benefits or profits from it anymore if the film does well. Is that correct?
No. So they might take, when they take all rights,
Yes.
that just means that they have the rights, say, in that territory for all types of avenues to exploit the film. So that if you sell your film to, Europe or the UK or a particular country, they'll say, okay, we'll take your film on, but we want all rights. So anything streaming, theatrical, any other avenue, we have the rights, and you will get, so the distributor might take a 30% fee for that. They might have a cost basis as well. So let's just say, for example, generically, they might take 30%. Then they might have a cost basis as well, which might be an additional flat fee, or it might be a percentage as well of costs. And then, so let's just make that 40%. And then the filmmaker will probably get everything after that. So that last 60% will go to the filmmaker. And there'll be various different caps on how much they can spend and what they promise to do in the release for that film.
Right. So it really depends on the negotiation that we do as filmmakers with the film distributors. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Wow. So all those things are up for negotiation, and sometimes they might offer more upfront depending on how long they'll take the rights and all those kind of different things. Hopefully, am I speaking too fast?
No, it's all good. We have an interpreter, thankfully.
I know. I was just thinking about them and just thinking I'm probably waffling and speaking too fast. So I'll try to slow down.
You're speaking absolutely fine, very clear. I would like to also clarify with you, when you collaborate with a film distributor, this is for filmmakers, as either a director or producer, is it for a certain period of time, or is it permanent? What is the usual period that you collaborate with a film distributor? Like, for example, I have one of the films that I'm in, Ali and the Queens, on Netflix. It's been on Netflix since 6 months ago. So I don't know whether it's going to be forever on Netflix, or is it just going to be a year? How does that work?
Look, there's a lot of variation with how that changes as well. So someone like Netflix might look at that film and they'll say, look, it's a really great film. We love it. We think that the main audience for that film will be exploited within that first 12 months, or they might say 2 years. And whatever they offer to the producers of that will be commensurate on what they think that they can get for that period of time. So they might offer a flat fee plus a percentage, or just either or. So it depends on what they offer. But every type of different type of distributor will offer a different percentage and a different term. So if you're an all rights distributor in a territory, so if someone in North America or Australia buys your film, they'll say, look, we're going to put a lot of marketing, we'll have a lot of expenses. We're only going to start to see a profit after, maybe the first year or two. So we really want to take a longer time frame. And they might say, look, we might want it for three years, depending on our plan, or 5, or some people even say 10 years.
Wow.
So
that's long.
So that's a long time. So it really depends on what that distributor is going to offer you. So they might say to you, look, we've got all of these great deals with streaming platforms, with educational providers, and they've got their own plans as well. So if you come to us and we've got this 10-year plan, this is how it will work. This is what other films have done. That might be a great deal. It depends on you as a filmmaker. If you just want to make lots of films and you want to concentrate on the creative process and not think about that part of the release, you leave it to an expert to do. But look, a lot of filmmakers want to do a little bit of both. They want a good deal. They want to make sure that they make lots of money as well, so they can make the next film and support themselves and pay their rent and do all the other things that we need to do.
Absolutely.
So a lot of filmmakers now, particularly independent filmmakers, will be looking at combinations of both a deal with a good distributor, but then maybe some self-distribution as well, because let's face it, most distributors will still want the filmmakers to really get engaged in the release of the film. You know, so when we release a film, we want the filmmakers to be available for Q&As. You know, if we're doing a theatrical release, sometimes we want them to be there in the cinema. Over the last couple of years, we've done lots of these virtual events like we're doing now, and we've had lots of filmmakers available for these kind of events, you know, where we might get someone overseas that wants to do a screening of your film and they want to talk to you as the filmmaker. And sometimes that's not at a very convenient time, especially if it's the other side of the world. You might have to wake up at, 1 o'clock in the morning, to do a Q&A, you know. So as a filmmaker, if you're going to be so invested in the release of the film, you know, you want to make sure that it's a really good deal that you're getting, and you're going to get rewarded for your time. And you also have to understand too that the distributor really needs your involvement to do that, to be available for interviews and all of those kind of things to generate that demand for your film.
Yeah, it's so funny because a film distributor, from your description, because we don't have one here that would do that for local films. I'm thinking like, oh, you know, film distributor's job is like what my publicist friend does, but also at the same time what my producer film does. You know, they're trying to work together to do the task of a film distributor. So since we don't have that yet, why don't we create more film distributors for local films in Indonesia? So how does one become a film distributor, at least in the case of Australia?
Well, look, there's lots of different ways that people have gotten into distribution. It's not, I mean, there are ways that you can learn about distribution, and I think we might touch on that briefly as well, but a lot of different people have ended up in distribution through a whole range of different ways. So although that, you know, maybe a lot of filmmakers in Indonesia may think, look, this is really hard here. Why aren't there companies to do this? It would make my job as a filmmaker a lot easier.
Exactly.
But look, the advantage of that is that any filmmakers that are listening today that have actually distributed their own film, that the amount of things that you have learned through that process would be absolutely invaluable. If you have spoken to a publicist before, or you've had a social media expert to help you get your film out there, all of those things, for you to see how that works, to get your head around it, is going to only help you down the track if a film distributor, if that really takes off in Indonesia, or you do sell your film overseas, because you'll know what's involved. So look, if someone is looking at getting into distribution, that is probably the best way to do it. And a lot of film distributors have started off as filmmakers. So they've been in the same boat. Maybe a lot of people are at the moment that are listening that maybe they haven't gotten a deal, or they thought that the deal that they were offered wasn't good enough, so they distributed themselves. They may have reached out to cinemas. They may have reached out to streaming platforms. They may have publicised the film themselves. All of those things that they have learned, a lot of film distributors have gone, you know what, I've learned so much over the last few years of doing this myself. I'm going to use all those skills and apply it to another film that's not my own. And that's how they've gotten into it. So
it's learning by doing.
It's learning by doing. That's how some people, not everyone, other distributors have gotten into it through perhaps other ways. So some distributors have even owned cinemas before this. So there's some distributors I know that have run cinemas. They got into it through that way.
Right.
There's people that have gotten into it because of the technology, for example. So like Netflix, for example, they're a great example. They started off distributing by basically, you know, posting DVDs in the mail. You know, you probably know this, Marissa, from stories of how they started, but they used to post the DVDs in the mail trying to compete with Blockbuster. That didn't work so well for a huge amount of time, but it enabled them to start off. But the technology of streaming, as that grew, they were in a great position to sort of grow on the back of that. And that's where they grew as a result of that technology starting off. So a lot of distributors are growing because of that. So you've got distributors that are just technology platforms in a lot of ways. So say Amazon, or there's other places like
Disney?
HBO, Disney, Disney, I guess, have got a long legacy and sort of the technology was, so they actually sort of came, if you look at Disney Plus, for example, they came in, you could argue, sort of late to that, you know, because there was a big fish already in the market, and they had to come up to take, you know, to take them on, which, you know, when you're Disney, you can do things like that. You can take on anyone. You're the biggest fish in the
exactly. So we have, sorry, Danny, do you still have something to say that I cut you off from?
I was just going to say that the technology is changing a lot already. So when there's a lot of talk at the moment about the metaverse and how that's going to revolutionize things online. So I would encourage a lot of filmmakers to look into that and just think about their films for the future and exactly how will that new iteration of the internet change audiences and change things for them. Because that's definitely going to empower filmmakers going forward.
That's correct. Well, we have one future filmmaker here who's asking you a question. I will just read her question. She is Sabila Lole. This is a question for you, Danny. She says, I want to ask, I'm Sabila from Binus University, and I have some experience at filmmaking. I want to ask about film distribution because at the moment, I want to create my first short film, and I'm really confused how to distribute my short film in future. Could you please give some suggestions or advice on how to distribute short films? Thank you, Danny.
Look, short films, it's really great that I think all filmmakers should definitely start off making short films. They are probably one of the more difficult areas of the distribution landscape because they are a little bit difficult to monetize. So for distributors to make money off short films is what makes it a difficult proposition. But look, there are definitely things that you can do with a short film. Definitely festivals is a big, is the first step. It's a good way to get recognised. There is often prize money. And there are also some festivals that just specialise in short films that also act as distributors as well. So there's a great short film festival here in Sydney called Flickerfest that we work with, and we did some masterclasses with them this year as well. And they sort of act as a pseudo film distributor as well. So they screen these films during this 2-week-long festival, and then they also help to get those short films out as a distributor to other platforms around the world. But look, there's definitely lots of online platforms. Vimeo's got a really good short film basis where you can put your film up and you can monetize it yourself. But look, I'd really look at the content of the film. If you have a film that it's about a particular topic, I'd have a look into how that relates to people that could make use of that film. So if it's about, say, a social issue, you might have a charity, you might have a group that can use your film to get it out there in a way that can highlight what they're trying to do as an organisation. So they might be able to use your film to raise awareness about something. And that's a really great way to form a partnership. Even with feature films, that's a good way to get it out there. But look, short films are really like a type of calling card to prove your craft, to get known, and to start to build from there. So it's but about distribution, you really have to be creative and look at how you can create connections to people with it.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Hope that answers your question, Sabila. The second question is from Ardi. He has 2 questions. The first one, how exactly do movies make money? That's the first one. And then the second one is, which one is more profitable for producers or distributors? Distributing movies to theaters or any film festivals, or OTT platforms or streaming services? Thank you.
Hey, that's they're the $1 million questions for the industry at the moment. How do movies make money? Everyone is running around in circles at the moment trying to work that out. How do we keep the industry going? How do we make money out of movies now that COVID has made such a big impact over the last couple of years? Theatrical releases are a big part of that, and they have been a big part of that around the world for a long time, but that is changing drastically, and that is being led by the big shift that's happening at the moment with the studios moving across to their own streaming platforms. So you've got obviously the Disney Pluses, you've got Peacock, you've got Paramount Plus, you've got all of the big streamers, and of course Netflix, that are really making a big impact in streaming. But it's still not, the theatrical part of the industry has made such a significant return, because you're selling tickets to individuals in cinemas. So
yeah,
that's why now on Netflix and all the other streamers, you see that they have that initial period of rentals that are very expensive, and you can buy it to own it as well.
Like Apple Plus or something. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Everyone's trying to close the gap. Whereas you might have, if you look at families, for example, you might have, say, a family of 5. If you all go to the cinema together, which is a rare occurrence in my family, to get everyone to agree on the same film. But if you do all go together, you've got 5 tickets there. Yeah. And when it comes to streaming, you don't have that same spend. So all the streamers are trying to make more money. So that's why they're pushing them. But generally, the best way to make movies is to have, or to make money from movies rather, is to have a really good system of windows that opens up all the way along the film's life. So that would usually be a theatrical release for a period of time, sometimes a broadcast release, or maybe a period of premium video on demand. Yeah. Then you've got other streamers that come aboard after that. Then you might have a series of windows after that, which is DVD or advertising-based video on demand, airlines along the way. There's lots of different parts of that whole window that open up at various different parts. But the best way of making money across that is to have a plan for each one of those windows along the way.
Right. So that those windows never open at the same time. It has to be a certain period, right? Just to confirm.
Sometimes, and this,
because I think the theater owners would be so upset if suddenly, like, Danny, your film is already on the streamers as well. How come we're not going to be able to sell tickets? Right? So it has to be in a different.
That's right. Yeah. So Windows, if anyone wants to read about the main shift in the theatrical versus streaming debates, the main point of contention at the moment is Windows. So theatrical releases used to have a window of 90 days. So that was what everyone agreed. 90 days, you cannot do anything else in that time. Even if the film's only available for, say, a week or 2 in cinemas, no one else was allowed to do anything in that 90 days, because it just meant theatrical was this special place and you can't do anything else, right, in that 90 days. But now it's gone down to 45, it's gone down to 30. And you've also got cases of day and date where it might be a couple of days and then it's on streamer straight after that. Right. So everyone's trying to work out at the moment what is the right amount of time to preserve so that we don't completely wipe cinemas out, because we really need cinemas. It is a really special part of the whole distribution landscape. And I would I'd be really sad if we lost them. There will be a lot of cinemas that close down, but we do have to sort of preserve them, I think.
Yeah. Do you still have time to answer one more question, Danny? I know that you have to pick up your son.
Actually, Marissa, I have arranged for my daughter to rush off and get him, so I can stay for longer than I originally said.
Oh, okay. So you can or you can't?
I can, yeah, I can.
You can. Okay. We have one live question from Nafis Yam. Nafis, could you please, because Nafis has raised his hand. There you go. Ya, silakan aja Nafis, langsung ditanyakan.
Oke, suara saya bisa terdengar ya?
Sudah terdengar dengan jelas, Nafis.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Marissa, and thank you, Danny, for your very nice explanation. I have a couple things of questions. Firstly, what are the most challenges for being a film distributor? Considering nowadays we have so many online platform services with competitive prices. And secondly, during this pandemic, we know that so many online streaming services has been risen. Banyak sekali yang bermunculan. So, is it make more opportunities in film distribution industry? I think that's it. And thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Nafis. Danny.
Thanks for that question, Nafis. Well, look, to answer your first question, I think the biggest challenge for distributors everywhere is really reaching audiences these days. That's the biggest challenge. So whether you're in theaters, you're on streaming, whether it's broadcast, there's less of an issue with broadcast because you've got less control there, but it's reaching audiences because audiences are really, really fractured these days. They're really spread out. And a lot of filmmakers think, oh, look, you're just competing against other films for that audience attention. But you're not. You're actually competing against gaming platforms. You're competing against TikTok. You're competing against, series, even though you might make a feature film. You're competing with, things like shows like Euphoria that, everyone's just talking about. You're competing against all of these other things that are out there that are vying for people's attention. So building your audience as a filmmaker is one of the most important things that you can do, because that audience base, a distributor will look at that. If you become really well known for making a particular type of film, or you win awards, or people really love the message that you've got in a lot of your films, and you start to build up an audience base, the distributor will see that and go, well, that's a really great starting point. We can build on that, and we can maybe bring in some other partners, or we might have an audience ourselves as a distributor, which we do a lot of films in the sort of social impact space. So we've got lots of audiences that are interested in things like women's rights or environment or Indigenous issues. We've got lots of audiences that we've done lots of other films with those themes. Right. So we know if we take another Indigenous film on, that we've got a pre-existing audience there that we can sell to. So likewise, that works for filmmakers as well. The more that you get known, the more that you build a reputation, the more that distributors can build on top of what you've done. So, sorry, I think the second part of your question, I don't think I answered quite well.
Considering we have so many new online platform services has risen, is it make more opportunities?
Look, it definitely does. It definitely does. There's more opportunities and definitely different ways to release. The other thing too, though, with more streaming platforms, big places like Netflix and Disney Plus and HBO, for independent filmmakers, they are less likely avenues to pursue. Like, it is very difficult to get onto Netflix. It's very difficult to get onto any of the studio platforms. It's like getting a deal with Disney or a big studio. It is very hard to release with them. It's more likely as an independent filmmaker that you will do a deal with a smaller distributor and get known and build your career up. But just as an independent filmmaker, there's lots of good avenues. There's great streaming platforms that are advertising based. There's other ones that are subscriber based.
Can you say the names of these distributors, Danny?
Yeah, well, there's a great platform called Tubi that Tubi, Tubi. And also I think Pluto TV. They're two platforms that a lot of independent filmmakers are now looking at in terms of like an advertising-based model. So it basically just works the same as, say, YouTube would, where you would, you would basically get ads before and after, and that's where they make their money. Advertisers put their ads there, and you get paid based on advertising revenue.
Fantastic.
So it's a lot of people are saying that that is going to be a big way forward for a lot of independent filmmakers who are finding it hard to get deals with the bigger end of town.
You've just answered a question from Fariza as well, because she asked that question about can we screen our films in YouTube, and basically you just answered that. So Fariza, you have your answer ya dari Dani bahwa bisa film kamu itu pakai platform YouTube dan bisa mendapatkan uang dari situ juga. Nice. All right. You kind of touch on this a little bit in your answer to Nafis earlier. We have a question from Reynaldo. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Ronaldo. I want to ask to Danny, what are the requirements that make a film easier to distribute? And what is usually the biggest obstacle to distribute the film? I guess the obstacle part was already answered. But, probably like the check mark, the topics. You did mention earlier, if you're making an indigenous movie, then you should go to that distributor instead. Please elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's... When filmmakers sell a film at like a film market, for example, markets like Berlin that you were talking about, Marissa, or say Film Arts or AFM in America or Cannes or any of the big markets, the things that most people ask are who's in it, right? That's the first question. Sometimes there's a major star like you, and that will sell the film straight away because they know that Marissa has already committed, and that's a great selling point. So cast makes a big deal. The genre, what genre is it? So there's certain genres. So if you go to AFM, for example, the American film market, that is a market that's very well known for genre films, right? They sell lots of horror, lots of science fiction, all of those kind of films. That's what it's known for. So they want to know, they'll ask you, what genre is it? So if you made a horror film for that market, there's lots of distributors and sales agents that's all they do. They just sell horror films. So they'll be interested. So if I'm a distributor and I said, I'd be very interested in social impact documentaries. We do a lot of those. So it depends on the distributor and it depends on the film that you've made. So definitely research.
Right.
First of all, make the film that you want to make. But when it comes time to sell it to the distributor, sell it to the sort of distributor that has distributed other films like the one that you want to make. They'll do the best job of getting that to an audience.
Cool. All right, we have a raised hand here. UK Petra Michael Wenardi. Where are you, Michael?
Okay.
Yeah, please do ask your question. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Marissa. Hello, Danny. Thank you for. I just want to say thank you, Danny, for sharing your experience as a film distributor. And so I just wanted to ask this question. It's more like examples. Like, for example, if let's say I make a film, okay, and I want to distribute to worldwide. So, like for example, I signed with Neon to make the distributor for the North America, but then I had Studio Canal as the distributor for the European region. So now I have two different distributors for two different countries or regions. Now, my question is, how do you deal with two different distributors for two different regions? And and whether or not they can communicate to distribute the film to European and North American markets well enough to be a success? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Danny?
Thanks, Michael. Well, look, that's a great question, Michael. And look, if you do get a deal with Neon and Studio Canal, that's an awesome start. And I think the rest of your plan will probably fall into place quite well. But look, this is probably one of the valuable roles that sales agents play in the market. So a sales agent will essentially do what you're talking about there, Michael. They'll take your film and they'll act as an agent for it. So the value of sales agents really is that they say, oh, look, I do know that contact at Neon. I've got a good relationship with someone there at Studio Canal. I know someone at Transmission Films or Fanforce in Australia, and they'll connect you to the different territories around the world. And that's a really great way to do it if you're because there's a lot of legwork in obviously doing that, and having those existing relationships is really important. So a lot of film distributors won't actually see filmmakers direct either. They prefer to only go through a sales agent. So you can get around it though, because if you make a great film and it premieres at a major film festival like Toronto or another one, and it does really well and people notice it, then people will come to you and the model gets flipped. You don't have to do as much of the chasing, which is everyone's dream as a filmmaker. But you can definitely do it the way that you have outlined. You can just approach all of those different territories. And a good way to go about that is to go to a market. So a lot of filmmakers will go to film markets and they will go and try to meet those distributors face to face. But look, it really depends on the film that you've made and who is best, who is the best person to get that out to as many people as you can. So you may be a first-time filmmaker, in which case, as I said, have a look at certain sales agents that have sold other films like yours, and they will provide inroads into the best avenues to find those other distributors. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Michael.
Great. Okay, we have three questions actually from Thomas Lesmono. Thomas asks, first question, me and my friends make some films, want to distribute them on Netflix or any digital platform or OTT, but we cannot find the how. How can I distribute it on the internet or on these platforms? Do you have any suggestions, Danny? That's the first one, I guess, getting contact to these digital platforms. 2, do you think it's better we pitch the film plan first so we get funding to make the film? Or is it better to make it first, then look for funding to cover production costs? And then the third one, what is the main standard that a film can be distributed on cinemas or OTT platforms? Does duration matter, or they have any other considerations? Thanks.
Okay, the trifecta of questions. I'm so glad that they're written down so I can remember. Okay, all right, so you want to pitch to Netflix or an OTT, and how do you get to meet them? Well, that is a tricky one. I don't know if Netflix have an office in Indonesia. I suspect.
Yeah, they have in Singapore, in Southeast Asia.
In Singapore, yeah. So look, Singapore or even Australia, they do have an office here as well, will probably be the best bet for reaching out to them and trying to find that they will likely look at the different platforms in all of the Oceania region. So if you do contact someone there at Singapore, they'll say, look, this is perfect for Singapore. And Singapore may also deal with a lot of the other countries as well, and where that film gets seen. It is hard to get that first contact. So you may reach out to them on LinkedIn or somewhere else, and you may hear nothing because they are at the top of the food chain. So there's only so many inquiries that they can deal with. So you may not hear anything back. In which case, like I said before, have a look at the sales agents, have a look at the people that can represent your film, because everyone wants to get on Netflix, but Netflix do have a certain level of film that they will look at. So first-time filmmaker, if this is the first project that you've done, it's unlikely that that you might get there. I don't want to sound negative, but you learn on every single project that you're on, and you'll get better and better as a filmmaker. And places like Netflix will see that, and they definitely want the top 1% of all films that are made. So you may have to work your way up to that end of town. Yeah. So in which case, just network with those, reach out to those sales agents and see what you can get there. In terms of pitching your film plan and trying to get funding up front, that is always the best way. My recommendation to all filmmakers would be treat your film project as if it was a small business, right? Just think of the film that you want to make. Don't think of it like it's a passion project that you just have to get this thing done and then move on to your real career. Think of it like it's a business proposition. You're going to make a piece of content that is anywhere from 60 minutes to 90 minutes long, and you want to sell that, and you want to reach as many people as you can, and you want to make money off it. So how can you take this product and sell it? I know that might sound a little bit cold and very business-minded, but it is a business, and if you want to get noticed and appreciated for your craft, you want to reach as many people as you can. So, Thomas, thinking about your plan, how you're going to reach your audience, how you're going to build on that audience, why they want your film, what's unique about your film, why no one else has made the film that you've made ever before. It absolutely has to be original. Everyone wants the original story that has never been told. So work on the business case for your film. And that will not only, even if you never get a film distributor on board, that is only going to make your project stronger, and it's only going to make a better result at the end of the day for your film. And it'll make it more profitable. So think about it at the beginning and structure your plan. Even if a film distributor comes on later and they completely throw it out the window and they think it's crazy, it's better for you to do that up front. And it's a better way for you to generate funds. Okay, sorry, last question that was on that list. Okay, what's the main
standard that a film can be distributed in cinemas or OTT platforms? For me, it's got to be good.
It's got to be good. That's right. Yeah, it's got to be good. It's got to be good. So, sorry about that.
It's all right.
So yeah, it's got to be good. And it's got to have an original vision, and it's got to have a certain standard of production as well. So that doesn't mean that you can't learn along the way. So just have a look at each stage of your filmmaking career as a stepping stone. So you made your first film, make that as good as you can with the budget that you've got, and don't try to overcommit, And maybe you don't get a deal on the first film, but look at it as a learning phase. So the next film that comes along, you may want to improve on the way it was shot. You may want to get actors or get more preparation time for actors. All the things that you learn will make a better product along the way, and eventually reach a bigger audience. At the end of the day, it's all about audience. Yeah. And whether it's a distributor like me, whether it's a director, whether it's a producer, we all want to get important stories in front of the most amount of people that we can. And you do that by getting better at your craft at all stages, better at storytelling, better at production. All of those elements will get better as you progress throughout your career. So yeah, there's no one secret ingredient. It's all of them together. And that's why film's the best. It's the best collaborative art form. Nothing else is like it. It brings all those people together that are all great at their individual elements. And when they all do a great job, that's when you get amazing films that we never forget.
I agree. Wow. Thank you so much, Danny, for sharing with us. We're unfortunately running out of time. You know, if we have more time, we would love to listen to you, your expertise, your knowledge. You're a precious, precious teacher for all of us who are here participating in this masterclass. We wish you a fantastic day. And is it okay as well, because we have so many questions here that are not answered because of the limited time, is it okay to direct the questions to you? I mean, through an email, through not your personal email, but through the embassy email. The embassy will forward the questions to you.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Send them through. Look, I know that there are a lot of people online here today, and I'm not sure how many more questions were there that we didn't answer, but look, if there is a lot of questions coming through, I'll have a chat to the team, and maybe there's another way that we can answer them all together, and I don't know, maybe do another class somewhere along the line. But look, all I'd say, just to wrap up to everyone, that I do think that the next few years is going to be such an important time for filmmakers. There's going to be new avenues opening up to reach audiences that are still just emerging now. Things like blockchain and NFTs are going to really change the industry for filmmakers. So I do think that despite COVID and all the negativity around, there's a lot of exciting things in store for people.
Cool. Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you so much for that summary as well. We wish you a lovely day. Stay healthy. Stay safe with your family. Bye, Danny.
Thanks so much, Marissa. Thanks to everyone at home.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Quickly just ask everyone to turn on their camera if they can. We can just do a quick group photo for everyone.
Sure.
I think there's 163 people dialing in, so it'd be great to see your faces. I don't know if you're in pajamas or no clothes, twin clothes.
Or your bikinis.
Anything goes here in Bali. So if everyone can just turn on their cameras, and then in 10 seconds, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bebas. And one more. Thank you very much. I also just wanted to say thank you again, Danny, an absolute expert in your field, and also Marissa, thank you so much. I'm a bit starstruck. I watched Ali and the Queens. I've seen it twice actually on Netflix.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you get some money from all the streams that you get, but it's incredible food for thought. I also really wanted to thank the Ministry of Tourism and the Creative Economy, Bekraf, Primakara, and also our other partners that we're working with for the masterclass. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all here, and thank you to all the hard work from the Australian Embassy in Jakarta as well. It takes a lot of effort to do this, probably more effort online than in person, so thank you again to the team at the Embassy there in Jakarta. For those still online, I'd really recommend going to FSAI.com to have a look at the rest of the films available, and also to sign up to the masterclasses. There are 2 masterclasses this week. On the 24th of February, there'll be a masterclass at 11:30 Jakarta time or 12:30 Bali time on animation. And we've actually got the CEO from Flying Bark Productions, who's responsible for Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Nickelodeon series, and also Maya and the Bee. And there's also another masterclass on the 25th of February, tanggal 25 Februari, jam 10 waktu Indo Barat atau jam 11 Bali time, with Mira Leswana, an Australian alumni, and she is from Miles Film dan Film Distributor Indonesia. Mbak Mira akan berbagi pengalaman tentang evolusi industri film Indonesia dan tips praktis untuk memproduksi film independen dan peluang yang tersedia bagi para sineas muda saat ini. So, another one for film buffs if you want to learn more about production. So again, thank you so much to everyone for logging in today. 163 people 2 years into a pandemic is a wonderful turnout. Thank you very much. And I'll close it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellie. Nah, sekarang jangan pada pergi semua dulu ya, karena kita mau bagi-bagi hadiah. Dari para penanya. Jadi para pemenang yang terpilih adalah Sabila Loleh dari Binus University, Nafis Yam, dan juga Michael dari Universitas Kristen Petra. Jadi mereka mendapatkan goodie bags khusus dari FSAI. Jadi Nabila, Nafis, dan juga Michael, tolong kirim nama lengkap, nomor HP, dan juga alamat kalian ke email berikut, yaitu di cultural.jakarta@gmail.com. Cultural itu cultural.jakarta@gmail.com. cultural.jakarta@gmail.com. Ditunggu segera ya. Udah deh. Terima kasih banyak rekan-rekan semua. Terima kasih tentunya sekali lagi kepada Lachevre yang sudah berbagi di sini. Teman-teman bisa mengirim pertanyaan ya ke email yang sudah ada di chat tadi. Kalau misalnya memang ada pertanyaan, nanti Denny akan menjawab satu persatu. Right. Selamat memikirkan dan bahkan mempraktekkan ilmu yang kita pelajari bersama hari ini. Selamat berkarya di industri film Indonesia. Kita semua pamit, saya Marisanita pamit. Sampai jumpa di Masterclass berikutnya, kawan-kawan. Bye. Saya kembalikan ke Ellie. Bye.
Thanks, Marisa. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Marisha. Thanks, Ellie.